We now go to the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Meuser, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Director. Good seeing you. And I, too, believe that your work is focused on improving situations. But I can't help but have a number of questions, and maybe you can help clear some things up for me. Your mission at CFPB, part of it anyway, is to aim to make consumer financial markets work for consumers, responsible providers, so both, and the economy as a whole. We protect consumers from unfair, deceptive, or abusive practices and take action against companies that break the law. However, there are many in the banking and business community that think that the CFPB is guilty of practices that are unfair and perhaps abusive, and that there's tremendous overreach, and that very often, rather than the bright line concept, there's ideology over specific rules. And this isn't just from one, set of resources. I mean, it's from large banks, small banks, super large banks, super regionals, small $1 billion banks, $10 billion banks. I put out a text a little while ago to a few. Hey, give me some of your thoughts on CFPB. My phone's blowing up with negative comments. Like, for instance, the 1071, it will impose significant costs on banks, costs that will be felt most acutely by small community banks that will negatively affect their small business customers. From another group, this was from a group, the proposed rule scope is unnecessarily far-reaching. It would exempt very few community banks, define small businesses so broadly as to include tens of thousands of large businesses, and require institutions to collect and report data on numerous data points in addition to the congressionally required data points. Next one, the CFPB 1071 rule would create onerous reporting requirements for both small business owners and the financial institutions. Here's one as well. The biggest issue with the CFPB, and I know this person personally, small bank, $1 billion probably, is the regulations restrict banks from residential lending, limiting options for borrowers, forcing community banks to lend to more commercial customers. Okay, so I'll leave it to you. Is this working? Why, everybody, what a great job is being done. Okay, I'd love to see a great job being done. I want consumers to be protected. I don't want bad characters to be able to play out. And so that should be a good thing. But the fulfillment of all of this needs to have a feel that there is some sort of synergy or at least improvement in line with what is best for the economy as a whole. So that's a somewhat general question, Director, but I'll ask you to comment on some of those comments I read off.
Well, it is true that when regulators are doing their job, we won't always be the most popular when it comes to those who we enforce the laws for, when it comes to detecting where there are potential crimes. I get it. Many of the things you mentioned are things that Congress enacted in order. We're
talking about 90% of the banking community here on who I'm referring to.
Well, I will tell you, I hear from a lot of financial providers who are eager for us to crack down on some of the abuses that we see, because you know what? They've got to compete with these people. They've got to be the ones competing online often with these misrepresentations. So we take all the feedback. I've met, I think, with every state banker association,
so
representing people on this committee, maybe even more. We want to make sure that the law-abiding businesses are not disadvantaged by those that cheat.
I understand again, that, but
it's not a popularity contest.
You're not receiving the feedback that, and you said to me in the last hearing that you would reach out more and have a more of a comprehensive, relationship, or even get feedback from those who are knocking themselves out. You went to the Wharton School of Business. I know you got to believe in capitalism to an extent. It's a competitive marketplace. They're trying to win customers. They're not trying to abuse their customers. But even with that would be ridiculous, because they would go out of business. That's how it works. The 81 total data points, the questions that were added. Last time we spoke, you said it's not 81. I forget what you said. It's like 18 or something. No, it is in fact 81.
It is not 81. If you are asked a multiple choice question of what state do you live in, that is not 50 questions.
You expanded upon
the
congressionally authorized questions that you were given. Why is sexual orientation something that a bank is supposed to ask
Because in the
business or
statute,
consumer.
there are requirements of
Not that.
demographic.
That's not in the statute.
Well, the Supreme Court has ruled that discrimination.
It's an
based on
overreach.
sex-
It's not in the congressional statute. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. We